Caffeine and smelling salts. That's at least part of the secret formula here for Wake Forest pitcher Cole Roland, whose clip went viral recently this past week because of what it looked like he was doing on the mound. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Dr. Brian Sutterer, and my goal in this channel is to help teach you about the medical side of the sports world. And I think we can learn and talk about some interesting things from what we saw here with Cole Roland. Now, I think anybody who has lifted weights in the past, taken supplements like pre-workout, recognizes kind of what's going on here. We've all taken those pre-workouts and probably experienced that kind of itchy feeling, that itchy sensation throughout our face, throughout our body after we take certain types of pre-workout. I suspect this is probably related to a pre-workout ingredient called beta-alanine, and we're going to talk about why exactly this happens in this video. Caffeine in pre-workout is actually pretty commonly used in high-level athletes because of that energy boost that it gives them before competing. And shout out, I'll link below where this Twitter video interview is coming from, but Cole actually talked about kind of what he does.
I'm going to execute what I want, and then once I'm in the bullpen, just take a little caffeine, some smelling salts, and then just start thinking about striking hitters out.
So caffeine and smelling salts. Now, smelling salts, in my opinion, are a little bit risky. I wish athletes didn't use them. I did a whole separate video about them, but they're essentially an irritant. It's a chemical called ammonia that whenever they're released, that ammonia goes into your lungs and stimulates your brain to suddenly want to take a big breath in. It's this caustic, irritating agent that stimulates your nervous system to make you breathe a lot of oxygen really quickly. There's not been any evidence that this leads to some sort of performance benefit. It's maybe a perceived performance benefit, but smelling salts, unfortunately, still are pretty common in the world of sports. From a caffeine standpoint, though, a lot of athletes are getting caffeine from pre-workout. And we have to be careful there because caffeine at too high of levels is actually considered a banned substance by the NCAA. They put together this excellent little fact sheet, but essentially levels in the urine higher than a concentration of 15 micrograms per milliliter would turn up as a positive banned test. That equates to around 500 milligrams of caffeine 2 to 3 hours before an event. Now, if you're just drinking a cup of coffee, you're going to be okay, and typically just one scoop of a pre-workout is probably going to be all right. But we have to be careful because some of these pre-workouts actually have high enough levels of caffeine in them, or if you take 2 or 3 scoops, you could actually register a positive drug test and get a penalty from the NCAA. Most single servings like this here, for example, is C4, which a serving contains 135 milligrams of caffeine, are going to be okay in and of themselves. Unfortunately, though, a lot of athletes will take multiple scoops, which could raise that caffeine level to something that could be considered banned by the NCAA. The ingredient, though, within pre-workout that causes that itch is beta-alanine. We can see it here. You'll often see it in one of these blends, maybe this Carnosine beta-alanine, but it's commonly found within pre-workout. Beta-alanine is an amino acid that is an important step in the synthesis of something in our body called carnosine. Carnosine acts as a buffer within our muscles. It's found in abundance throughout our skeletal muscles. And whenever we exercise and our muscles are firing, they can produce this lactic acid and sort of lead to this acidic environment within the muscle. That acidic environment causes us to get fatigued and can affect our performance. So carnosine comes along and helps to buffer that acidic environment to get less acidic and therefore help to improve our neuromuscular stamina and output. By supplementing with beta-alanine, you can increase that ability of the carnosine to help buffer your skeletal muscle, and there's been plenty of evidence that can show increase in neuromuscular stamina and decreased fatigue. The itch associated with beta-alanine is technically something referred to in medicine as paresthesias. Paresthesias are this neurologically mediated sensation that can sometimes be described as burning, but can also be described as this itchy type of feeling. When you have an abundance of beta-alanine, that can activate a specific type of receptor within your body that then triggers these nerve signals to be sent along to your spinal cord that causes them to be activated. Those nerve signals that get activated tell your brain that there's something irritating the skin, that there's something called like an itch or a little burning sensation, even though there's nothing actually there. This manifests in what we call these paresthesias, which then lead to the sensation that you have this itching. So obviously we don't know for sure, but when I hear an athlete say they're taking some caffeine, especially with him being a relief pitcher, taking caffeine, a pre-workout right before he goes out on the mound, the time course would make sense with having this itchy paresthesia sensation, particularly around your face, from possibly something like beta-alanine within a pre-workout. I know when I used to lift weights more, I would take pre-workout and the beta-alanine would just make my face feel like I had fire ants all over it for a few minutes after taking it. So something interesting. My suspicion is that this in fact is probably what's going on here and overall would be a safe thing, especially if you're using these pre-workout supplements in the safe, correct manner and not going above and beyond what's recommended, which could, again, potentially lead to a positive drug test. That's it for the video, everybody. I hope we could take this little viral moment and get some education out of it. Let me know, as always, any questions or comments down below, and until next time, we'll see you later.